Hello again. This week we continue our series on following Jesus with looking at the subject of prayer. Prayer can sometimes be a dangerous thing to do. Several years ago we were living on the northern edge of Peterborough and going to a church about 15 minutes away to the south of the city. People kept saying that we should move nearer the church, but it didn't make sense, as it was only just over a year until we'd be moving again to start my curacy. One day, after several more people saying we should move, in a moment of frustrated prayer, I said to God, I don't want to move, but if you want us to, then you're going to have to make it very clear or I won't do it. The next day, we had a handwritten note put through the door by someone saying they were looking to move into the area and asking if we wanted to sell our house. The next day, an estate agent's business card came through the letterbox. To cut a long story short, 4 months later, we were living just down the road from our church. The important thing about prayer isn't what words we use. It's about spending time with God. Following Jesus is about relationship with God. And like all relationships, it takes time. It takes an investment. People often say to me that they don't really know how to pray, but it is just as simple as talking to God. Jesus' first followers weren't sure how to pray either, and he gave them a pattern for prayer, what we now refer to as the Lord's Prayer. The exact words of the Lord's Prayer aren't actually that important, but the attitude behind praying them is. Absent-mindedly reciting them doesn't make those words a prayer. Meaning what we say, meaning them as we pray, is what makes a difference. The Lord's Prayer recognises how awesome God is and that everything we have comes from God. It asks God to provide for the needs of the wider world and for us personally, both physically and spiritually. It really is a powerful prayer. There are several different types of prayer, all with a slightly different purpose, but the important thing is that all of them draw us closer to God, and it's important that when we pray, we use a mixture of all those different types of prayer. One is confession. That's where we say sorry to God for the things that we've done wrong or for not doing the good things that we could have done. It's really important as it puts us right with God again. It helps remove any sense of guilt that we might have for the things that we've done wrong. And it helps us to look ahead to living a better and more fulfilled life as we follow God's purposes. Praise and worship. Recognising how amazing God is. It's a bit like giving him a compliment like we would a friend or a loved one when we see they do something well. There's the prayers of thanks, counting our blessings and recognising the good things in our lives. And that has proven medical benefit for our health. Being grateful is good for us. So by asking us to give thanks to God, God knew what he was talking about. There's a type of prayer called imprecatory prayer, which is basically telling God how we're feeling, telling it to God as it is, with no holds barred, being really open and honest, being real, talking to God just as we might do with a good friend, offloading. Again, it's proven to be really good for us. Those three forms of prayer, worship and praise, giving thanks, and being honest with God, are all forms of prayer that draw us closer to God and have the effect of changing us. They often move us to a place of seeing things as God sees them, helping us to move our attention away from ourselves and seeing the bigger picture. They're types of prayer that can put things into perspective. And then there's intercession, what most of us think of as prayer, asking God for things, for ourselves, for others, for the wider world. Sometimes we get an obvious yes, like we did with moving house. Sometimes we get an obvious no, and that can be really hard to understand and deal with. Sometimes it can seem like God isn't saying anything at all. And much later, we might look back and see what was going on. Intercessory prayer, the please prayers, also have the risk of changing us, because sometimes the answer that God gives means that we have to be part of the answer to our own prayers. There's a cartoon of a man sat with God, asking why God allows so much suffering to happen in the world. God's response is to say, "Funny that, I was going to ask you exactly the same thing." Lots of people have been praying and asking for prayer during lockdown. It's something that surveys have shown is happening nationally and internationally. And it's certainly something I've experienced myself, with people asking me to pray for them more than they normally do. I think we've all realised the importance of prayer and the difference that it can make, both personally and on a larger scale. Our world really does need prayer at this time. Practical care and support has been so valuable as we've journeyed through the coronavirus crisis. But as followers of Jesus, we have something unique to offer. Our prayers to our awesome God really do make a difference. We might not quite know what difference they make, but they are powerful. It's something that we can offer that others can't. As lockdown continues to lift quite considerably this weekend, let's not lose that passion for prayer. In fact, let's increase it. I have 3 prayer challenges to set for us all. Firstly, choose a time when you will pray the Lord's Prayer each day, not just reciting it, but thinking about the words as you pray. Secondly, choose a time each day when you will pray for 3 different people. One who you know is going through a difficult time. One you want to thank God for. And one for a person who has hurt you or that you struggle with. Try praying for those 3 people and see what happens. Finally, at the end of each day, maybe while you're brushing your teeth or getting ready for bed, tell God honestly what your day has been like and think of 3 reasons to thank God. I challenge you to give this a go for 3 weeks. So we've got 3 challenges, 3 people to pray for, and 3 weeks to try it for. 3, 3, 3. See what that impact has. As always, if you would like me to pray for you or someone else, then please do get in touch. One of the best parts of being a priest, one of the real privileges, is being asked to pray for people, to ask God to be present with them as they journey through life. But remember too, that you don't need a priest to do the praying. God wants each one of us to talk to him and to spend time with him. As we do, we get more of that life in all its fullness that Jesus promises us. God bless you. Goodbye.